Okay, this is the portion where we talk about how to play an actual game and use some of those focusing techniques, some of those mute that choker technique. So essentially, one of the biggest realizations for me, and one of the more unique things about foosball is there is we as foosball players act as both coaches and players. Most sports they have a coach, and then you have the players. The coach tells the players what to do. The coach thinks about strategy. The coach thinks about formation. The coach thinks about adjustments that need to be made, and he communicates that to the players. The players just go up and they say, "Yep, thanks, coach. I'll go out and do that." As football players, we act as both of those roles, which is one of the things that makes football so compelling and interesting. You get to be your own coach. You are the one driving yourself and telling yourself what it is to do. So for me, and I think a lot of you could relate to this, is that there is the big discovery for me was that I needed to separate my coach mentality versus my player mentality. I needed to let them act one at a time. Don't let them try to act at the same time. So, for example, when you are a player, you need to be essentially without thought. You need to be without distraction. You need to be without conscious thought. You are playing by feel. You are just playing in the moment. You are reacting. You're acting on muscle memory. You might even have a bit of a snarl in your face and you're just playing aggressively. You need to allow the player, that player mentality, when it's time to play, you need to allow him just to play. He needs to have direction. He needs to know what he's doing, what he's trying to do, but he can't have doubt. He can't have conscious thought. When the ball is flying around, when you're about to execute a shot, you can't be thinking about anything other than just maybe a single thought stroke or a single stroke thought. Like a stroke thought is where you kind of have these simple thoughts where you remind yourself of a key thing that you need to do within a stroke. When you're shooting, when you're reading, when you're executing a pass, you might have a single thought. Like this is something that's learned from golf. Golf has a swing thought. So golf is very mental as well because you get one chance to strike that ball, and if you have anything wrong in that one chance, well, that ball is going to go fly off. Who knows how many yards to the left or right, where the golfer doesn't want it. So there's a lot of learnings can be brought from that into foosball, where I called them shot thoughts or pass thoughts, like very simple. Like for me, when I'm shooting, whenever I set up and I get the ball, I need to remind myself, relax my arm, just so I get the pressure off of my arm because I caught the ball, I set it all up, might have a little bit of pressure in my arm, and then I set up, I'm ready to shoot, and now I need to relax. That's a thought. I just relax, and now I go. Once I relax, that's a mental routine I go through. Tell myself relax the arm, and now allows me to execute and release more smoothly and better and quicker. It relieves that stress and that pressure that choker might be coming back. You notice my shoulders there, that kind of thing. So just that's a mental thought. For passing wise, I often thought about dictate. I wanted to dictate my passing. So that was a positive thought that I would have. It allowed me to put myself in the right kind of mindset. And these are little techniques and tricks that you can learn if you do read about sports psychology. So, and that's really about the coach-player split personality. The player needs to just be able to play. The coach, I learned to allow the coach mentality that when it was time for conscious thought, strategy, adjustments, what's working, what isn't, to come in at certain given points in time. I so much struggled with, because I'm so much an analytical and a thinking person, that I was trying to think and adjust as I'm trying to read defenses, and I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to shoot and make decisions. It just didn't work. I'd often get angry actually during matches, and I didn't quite understand why I was being angry. It's because I was in conflict. My coach was watching the player just do stupid stuff, and my player was not playing with confidence. He was always having these thoughts about, oh, maybe you should do this instead. Oh, I read push. Oh, is that a bait? No, player can't be doing that kind of stuff. So I learned to let my coach mentality come in at timeouts, between games, and at between balls, very specific points when it was like mental adjustment, what's happening, what should I tell the player to do. So for example, I'm getting ready to serve the ball. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going lane, and I'm going to go. I made a choice. So then once that choice, it's a simple one, but it's effective. Say for example, I know he's moving all over the place, and he's going to be in the lane, and he's going to dive to the wall. So I know I'm going to wait for that. So then I get it. I'm going through my repetitions back and forth, and the player now knows there's no doubt, there's no adjustment. This is what I'm doing. The player now knows this is what he's supposed to do. The coach has told him, watch for that. Him gonna hover inside the lane. He's gonna, once he bails to the wall, then you can release that lane and hit it. So that's what the player does. He has it, might have a little bit of focus to be able to focus on the ball, like I talked about. Get it, he's waiting for it, and that's single thought, single focus. That's what that player is doing. Gets the ball on the 3-rod now, and now for me, for the way I shot on my 3-rod, I predetermined how I was going to shoot. The coach predetermined before the game, you're going to shoot off a rock, you're going to shoot off a standstill, you're going to shoot for man, you're going to shoot for hole, and you're going to shoot like what I called maybe like a peekaboo. I have different shooting strategies, and the coach predetermined the order in which that I was going to shoot them and when I was going to switch. So for the player, it was I'm doing this now, no doubt, no question. That was the strategy. The coach person, that was me before, came up with that plan, and we thought that was a good plan, so why should that change? So now it's into the, now time just to execute it. So the player knew once he got the ball on the 3, now it was mentally time to execute what the coach said before. And so it was having a predetermined plan. I would strongly recommend, so strongly, at least for me, it was a big breakthrough. When you have a plan, you don't need to be worrying about making adjustments during the match. If you have a plan beforehand, you have a plan for what you want to do, and also very, very importantly, you have a plan for how you're going to adjust to that when that stops working. So one of those plans might be, in the match, I'm gonna read early. Let's say, for example, on my 3-row, whenever I get the ball for the first 4 or 5 shots that I get, I'm going to read early to see if I can save a shot or an option for later. Is there something they're consistently giving me early that I can take advantage of later, maybe out of a later point, 3-3, 4-4, something like that. It's not a quick shot, it's not a trick shot, I've read this, I've read it, I've predetermined it, that's the plan. So I know every time I got the ball, I'm reading for the first 4 or 5 seconds for later. I'm not gonna shoot on it, I'm not shooting now, I'm just reading, I have a plan, my coach has told me, I have a plan, I'm reading for that type of scenario now. I'm going to read, what are they giving me the first 3 or 4 seconds? Is there any consistency? Is there something I can see that is consistent that I know I can take advantage of later within the game or match? So then the plan was do that for the first 3 or 4 seconds and then move on to whatever I was shooting. I was going to shoot push side and wait for them to call out push, or was going to shoot an off timing push. These are all different ways in which I shot. So that was the way I kind of mentally went through that and had a plan, and then I knew that was my plan going through 3 or 4 points, and then I know at some further point I have an option in my pocket that I know if I need to, I can break it out with some good level of confidence and catch them off guard. So that's a very big important thing about during playing is having a plan, because having a plan allows your mind just to focus on playing, having a predetermined plan. If you don't have that predetermined plan, then you're coming up with it as you go, and that could interfere with those doubts. Oh, what should I do? What am I doing? If you don't even know what you're doing, how do you know how to adjust? I've said this before. I think if any of you watch my videos, more than one of them, I've probably said it in almost every other one. If you don't know what you're doing, how do you know how to adjust? You have to know consciously what it is you're doing. Am I going wall? Am I shooting at the man? Am I shooting at a hole? So I know what I'm doing. So when that's not working, I know how to adjust, and then I can adjust appropriately. And you want those thoughts to be very simple. So that's about the player has to be told what the plan is. The coach has to come up with the plan, but allow them to really step in at their moments of time when it makes sense. Coach is between points, in timeouts, between games. Often between games, my coach would ask, and this is a good strategy, is like, I have a very simple process that even our coach has a process in which he walks through. It's not willy-nilly, coach does different things each time. The coach analyzes and goes, what's working, what isn't working, and what adjustments do we need to make? So it's like, walk through 2, 5, and 3. What's working? Okay, my 2 series is working, my 2 to 5 series is working, I can continue to do that. But maybe when they get on the lane, I'm gonna do this. Okay, 5 bar, what's working? Lane's really working, great, keep that up. Okay, 3 bar, what's working? Push side's working, I can keep doing it, save it for later maybe. Okay, now what's not working? And then go through them again. 5 bar, okay, I'm giving them too many lanes, or I'm always bailing to the wall, switch up what I'm doing. What adjustments do I need to make? 3 rod, okay, maybe I'm being too obvious, maybe I need to start switching it up. Those kind of like analyze what's happening at that time, and then come up with a appropriate plan. Because if you have a plan, it makes all those negative thoughts, all those worries, all those distractions disappear. If you have a plan, you know you can focus on carrying out that plan. Because all it takes is just a simple, what should I do now? I got on the 3, oh, that's my plan, that's what I'm doing, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like, it's all very positive, all very factual. It's not, got on my 3, oh, I better not miss this, oh, what should I do? Is he blocking? Like, that's all questioning, doubtful. That's not good mental state. That's gonna lead you down into a choke, kind of, as you get those negative thoughts, you can see that the arm tenses, everything gets tense. But if you're focused and positive and even aggressive with it and confident with it, it all comes out in how you play. You'll stroke it confidently. And if not, if you do get blocked, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You're just like, oh, good block. That's the adjustment. I was doing this, he blocked it. I know how to make the adjustment for next time. Or I know already in my plan that my next option will work against how he blocked that. So that's good.